My entitled extended family is threatening to disown my parents if I choose to marry my boyfriend, all because he's not a part of our religion. And honestly, I don't know what to do. I have been dating my boyfriend for 4 years, and we are pretty serious. We're speaking about getting engaged next year. I'm a 23-year-old female, and my boyfriend is 25. His family practices a different religion than mine. I come from a pretty traditional family and a close-knit community who generally look down upon people marrying outside the culture. Despite this, my parents have been very supportive of my relationship, but my extended family have not. Recently, when I told my dad's sister and her husband about my boyfriend, they took it extremely badly. They spoke about how I and my parents would essentially be disowned from the extended family, and how if we told my dad's elderly father, he would take it so badly that it could cause him some severe health issues. I have no issue with being disowned personally, but I don't think I can be responsible for my dad losing his entire family and having no relatives to back him, all because of me. I know it's not my boyfriend's fault that my family won't accept him, but I feel as though my parents have sacrificed so much for me already, and I can't make them sacrifice their families and their communities too. My mom thinks I should break up with my boyfriend, and this absolutely breaks my heart. But if this is truly my only option, I would do it for my parents. What should I do? The fact that your extended family is being this toxic towards you having a boyfriend is really weird, and it really doesn't make any sense that they think that them disowning the family is somehow going to stop you from getting married to this man. Because if anything, it shows you who they really are. In case you're wondering, and I think you already know this, your extended family has absolutely no say in who you can or cannot marry. They don't get a say in that, you do. That is legitimately between you and your boyfriend. And from what you've described, your boyfriend is not a bad person. He just follows a different religion, which from the sounds of it, you're completely fine with. And honestly, if you and him are okay with having different religions in the same household, then who cares what anybody else thinks? I think if you really do love him, you should go ahead and marry him and not worry about your extended family, which by the way, are not very good people from what you've described. I personally would not want people like that in my family, constantly trying to have their thumb over what I can and can't do, especially in my own marriage. I mean, what is that all about? So yeah, I would not listen to your extended family, and I would ignore them completely. And if they want to cut you off, then by all means live your life without them involved. I think you'll probably be happier without them. My best friend's boyfriend is trying to end our friendship, and I'm not sure what to do. I have a friend who we will call Jessica. That's not her real name. I have been best friends with Jessica since the 4th grade. Our relationship has only ever been platonic. No joke. We have hugged literally once throughout the course of our friendship, and that was maybe 2 years ago, after I was released from the hospital. Jessica has a boyfriend by the name of John. That's not his real name. They have seriously dated for about 3 years. At the start of that relationship, before things were exclusive, I attempted to connect Jessica with my cousin. It never really went anywhere, more than me sending her a picture of him and her asking a few questions. Last week, I got a message from Jessica's iPad calling me out by my name and threatening me for trying to help her cheat on him. Apparently, she had gone to work, leaving her iPad at home, and John decided to look through her messages, dating all the way back till before she was in a relationship with John. He has sent me threatening text messages, called my phone harassing me, and even blocked me on Jessica's phone and deleted me from her social media. To be honest, those things are annoying at best. I don't feel threatened by him really, or worried about the things he has said to me, but one thing in particular has really rubbed me the wrong way and caused me to have some semblance of concern. I would have expected my friend to unblock me on her phone and social media. Knowing her personality, I would expect her to be angry with him for taking her property and using it to harass her friend. This concerns me because it gives me the impression that she is afraid of him for some reason. It completely conflicts with her entire personality to see her so passive in this situation. One of the things that John is angriest about is the fact that at one point, I told Jessica that she deserved better after he had gotten irrationally angry with her son. Apparently, he saw those messages too. Jessica is a retired vet who works full-time with chemotherapy patients and takes pride in her work. John, on the other hand, is a convicted felon out on parole who sells trees and can't hold down a job. In my eyes, she absolutely does deserve better in several ways, especially with her current boyfriend. How do I show support to my friend and let her know that I'm concerned about her without pushing her away or putting her in more potential danger? What should I do? I think you really need to accept accept that she just might not be your friend anymore. You could reach out to mutual friends and see if they know anything, but despite knowing her since you were in 4th grade, it's likely she's going to put this guy before everyone else for a long time. All you really can do is be ready to help her when she does leave him. And based on what you're describing, I don't see that relationship lasting. He yells at her son, and it sounds like he has a short fuse, and he can't keep down a job. So I don't see this working out, to be completely honest. But if I were to circle back to one thing that the original poster said, I would personally take it serious if this guy's sending you threatening text messages and phone calls to try and harass you or worse. If this is something where they're saying things that are like really harmful to you, then I would consider getting the police involved, because that is not okay. It seems like this guy is not a winner in my opinion, so I honestly don't see this relationship lasting very long. But in my opinion, if anything, staying on the sidelines and not reaching out, since almost everything's going to be seen by this guy, is probably the safest option if you want to keep Jessica safe. Otherwise, things could get bad, and I don't think anyone would want that. My ex messaged me out of nowhere after 3 years and apologized to me, and I honestly feel very conflicted on how to handle this. This person was very emotionally and psychologically abusive to me, by the way. He cheated and ghosted me, all while playing the victim to the woman he left for, who later on ended up dumping him. 3 years later, out of nowhere, he starts requesting me on every social media outlet, from different accounts telling me it's him and that he needs to talk to me about something important. I would block one, he would create another one and message me on there. I accepted his message request to see what he wanted, and it was a long apology, basically describing how his ex dumped him and how badly he felt afterwards, followed by thinking karma was finally getting him for his actions, and how he remembered how badly he treated me. He continued on saying I was one of the kindest people he's ever met, and he thanked me for being in his life and for my kindness towards him. He said that he was sorry for everything he put me through, and that he couldn't sleep thinking of what had happened. He said that he has nightmares about it and feels horrible, and that he didn't expect me to accept his apology or even to respond. At first, I felt a mixture of emotions, including pity, sadness, resentment, then just pure unadulterated anger. I didn't end up replying, and I just blocked him. But now I'm left with this anger, and I want to just tell him off. I want to tell him he is manipulative and that this apology was for him, only to lift the weight off of his conscience, and how forcing himself back into my life by crossing my boundaries, essentially stalking me on the internet so that he could speak about his breakup and how badly he feels for how he treated me, honestly is just selfish and narcissistic, and I don't accept his apology. It's been 3 years full of therapy, pain, and self-work to try and heal from that. I want to get this anger off my chest and to just lay into him and tell him exactly how I feel, and then tell him to never talk to me again. But I also don't want to give him any type of control over me ever again. What should I do? I really wish you had not accepted that message from this guy, because he is absolutely only doing this apology so he can feel better, not because he's actually sorry. And you hit the nail on the head. You have every right to be upset. This man caused 3 years of pain in your life, and you had to go through therapy and a lot of self-work just to try and get your life back on track. He derailed it completely because he's manipulative and he's a narcissist. And this behavior of him stalking you online and creating multiple accounts just to try and get through to you is obvious proof that he has not changed his ways. I mean, this is what happens when you let him back into your life, even for a second. He's gonna treat you like garbage, and even with an apology, somehow bring you back down. I honestly don't think you should threaten any of the progress you've made over the 3 years. He is emotionally and psychologically abusive towards you, and he would love for you to have some kind of reaction from this. So in my opinion, you should just block him and move on. You are a much better person without him in your life. And honestly, no kind of fake apology should change that. If you did want to message him, I would keep it brief. Maybe say something to the effect of, "I don't forgive you," and then just block him from there. But in my opinion, I don't think that's going to cause any kind of happiness in your life, and it will just open up this door that is obviously very toxic. So just get rid of him, block him, and move on like you already have, because you've made a ton of progress and there's no reason to go backwards, all because this nut job wants to step back into your life. My friends won't invite me out because of my boyfriend, and I honestly don't know what to do. My boyfriend and I have been together for over a year, and whenever his friends invite him over, it's not even a question. I'm always invited by them. His friends are mostly girls, and they have their boyfriends over, and we all play games and make dinner together, or just go enjoy a nice day at the beach or the park. On the other hand, since the beginning of us us dating, my girlfriends from my hometown, we all live in the same city by the way, have not been welcoming in the slightest. There is always underhanded comments at my boyfriend's expense. They say things like, "We're just joking around." But I can tell at the end of the day, he's very uncomfortable and I'm overprotective, so the girls and I have gotten into multiple fights about them making fun of him. He has been so kind to them and has done so much to try and win them over. For example, he's taken one of the girls' car into the shop for 3 days, with him switching cars so they can go do whatever they need to do. My boyfriend also drives us wherever we want and doesn't complain because he wants me to have these friendships that I have had since I was in middle school. When they do invite me out, they always ask me to come along. I understand a girls' night every once in a while, but every single time this is asked, anytime this happens, he tells me to go, saying that he doesn't mind, but to be completely honest, I love to have him around as he makes everyone laugh, and I can't shake that his friends have been so welcoming as well as respectful of me, but I simply don't understand why the girls can't just do the same. Anything that we talk about doesn't change when he's around. If anything, the girls get dating advice from a male's perspective. This has caused me to pull away from them, which really makes me sad. But watching my boyfriend feel bad about himself because he can't figure out what on earth he's doing wrong just fuels me to feel disgusted to even think about giving them the time of day. Is there anything I can do to bring everyone together, or is this just another case of outgrowing your hometown friends? Your friends do not sound very nice, and I think you have it right. I can understand a girls' night out, and you don't want the guys to come along, but it sounds like they don't want him around, period. And from the sounds of it, they don't have a solid reason as to why they don't want him in the group. Instead, they just resort to bullying and treating him like garbage, all at his expense, which is really not okay. I honestly don't blame you for feeling like you need to pull away. This behavior is incredibly toxic. It might be the case also where it's only girls that are really welcome in this specific group. It also makes me wonder if any of the girls in this group have a boyfriend. If they don't, then it kind of makes sense why they wouldn't want him along, but making fun of him is just not okay. There's also the other dynamic of the other group, which is definitely mixed between boys and girls, so it seems like anybody's really welcome. But if your boyfriend is the only person who's coming along and no one else brought their boyfriend along, then I can kind of understand why they're like, hey, maybe keep him at home. So there are a lot of perspectives to consider in this situation, but I think what you really need to consider is which one is true. Do your girlfriends really just hate him and want to make fun of him anytime he's there? Or is him being there disrupting a dynamic that they're used to having? I would maybe check in with them and see which one it is, and then try and go with it from there. So hopefully this gets worked out, you figure out the truth, and you're able to adapt accordingly, because losing friends that you've known since middle school would really suck, and hopefully this is just an easy solution. My boyfriend is intentionally causing me to lose sleep by waiting until I'm going to bed to start telling me a really long story, and this is getting so out of hand that I'm not sure how to approach this. I work long days, sometimes 12 plus hours, and while I also have to commute to work, I have to be up by 6 o'clock in the morning on the dot. In contrast, my boyfriend works 8 hours a day, and we live right by his work. He doesn't get up until 8:30, and he doesn't want to move. He likes living this close to work. Every night when I get home, we take it in turns to cook as well as to spend some time together. We spend most nights together, and we talk a lot every evening about our day. Then we zone out and watch TV, but still end up talking for most of that. I like to be in bed by 10 o'clock, as it takes me a while to fall asleep due to my busy day. On the other hand, he goes to bed at about 12 o'clock. I've told him when I'm tired and I need to go to bed and to not force myself to stay up longer. My issue is every time I say I'm going to bed, he then decides to start telling me a story, sometimes following me into the bedroom to carry it on. He also does this if I'm going out to meet a friend or if my friend or family member is picking me up. He will wait until it's exactly the time I need to leave or get the text saying, hey, they're outside, and then he starts telling me something. And worst of all, he will get offended if I cut him off or ask him to tell me the rest of that later. I've asked him time and time again to please not do this to me, even going as far as to say, I'm going to bed in half an hour. If you need to tell me a story or something important, please do it now. But despite all that, he will still remember something right before I'm about to go to sleep. He also goes to the bathroom the second I say I'm going to bed and takes like 10 minutes, so I have to wait to brush my teeth. So now to get around that, I have to go to the bathroom before I say I'm going to bed. Otherwise, I'll never get in there on time. Honestly, this is all stressing me out that he won't listen to me. I feel like he's trying to get me to prove he is more important than my time or sleep sleep or other people and taking advantage of the fact that I'm a polite person. What do I do? Yeah, it definitely seems like your boyfriend is being very inconsiderate. Like he's not respecting your time or any of the stuff you need to do in order to get up on time to go to your job. You get up at 6 in the morning. That sucks. Meanwhile, he's sleeping in until like 8 o'clock and then rolling out of bed to get to work, which is right around the corner. Like it really isn't fair to lose your sleep all because of this. And also, anytime you're trying to spend time with family or friends, it's like he's trying to hold you back and prevent you from going, which is just really weird behavior. But I think putting your foot down and saying, no, I'm going to bed, please leave me alone. Or hey, I'm going outside, I'm leaving to see my friends. Something along those lines of making a very clear boundary of like, no, this is time that I need to spend doing X, Y, and Z. And when you set these boundaries, it'll essentially give you a good litmus test of if he's going to respect it or not. And it's really unfortunate that it looks like you've tried this in the past, but he's still not getting it. You could be petty and say, okay, you want to keep me up all night? I'm going to wake you up early. So right when you wake up at 6, wake him up at 6. Start telling him this long-winded story and ruin his sleep schedule. See how he likes it. All jokes aside though, everybody needs their sleep. And especially if you wake up early, this is just not something that can be feasibly worked through if you're just exhausted and so desperate for sleep. So hopefully this conversation goes well and your boyfriend learns to shut up when you're trying to get some sleep. I am thinking of breaking up with my partner because of his anger management issues. And even though he's in therapy, I think I want this to be done, but I don't know what to do. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years and live together. It's become pretty clear to me in the last year, probably longer, that he has anger management issues and does not have very much control over his reactions. He has yelled at me outside of our apartment, in the grocery store, and in front of friends and family. Most often, he's calling me a child and telling me to grow up, or he just starts saying that he wishes we could work as a team while refusing to give me any space to talk or pause the conversation. I'm an only child. I really like me time and I can be avoidant and dismissive sometimes. I like to have a lot of space. So when we fight, I try to do whatever I can to exit the situation so I can regain some energy and come back when we're both feeling more clear-headed. But he follows me and will keep yelling even if I communicate that I need some space or that I'm going for a walk, or if I close a door on him, or if I call a friend, it doesn't matter. He keeps going. If he doesn't respect my space, I'll yell back and curse him out like he does to me, which sometimes gets him to stop. But I hate getting to that point since yelling is not in my nature and I hate doing it. And I feel like I have to yell just to get any space to myself. I also have to do this so I don't appear weak when we're in public and he's yelling. He is very aware of this and knows that he gets too worked up and that his behavior is unacceptable. He thinks he just raises his voice and doesn't yell. Okay, whatever. I've been asking him to seek therapy for months now, and he's consistently told me basically, I don't feel comfortable with that. I really don't like letting other people in, but I know I have to work on it myself, so I'll try to work on my issues in another way. His alternative solution was to go outside more and do more for himself, which just wasn't the same in my book, but I let it be. I've been in therapy and on medication during our whole relationship, so it felt unfair that he wouldn't also try and work on himself when the relationship was so clearly toxic. But I thought maybe he knows what's best for himself. Finally, a couple of weeks ago, it happened yet again. We started bickering, he started raising his voice, and soon we were in an argument. I started crying and tried to go to our bedroom and shut the door, but he opened it and started yelling. I told him I needed space and I shut the door again, and he yelled at me from outside the door. I tried to go on a walk and he yelled at me from inside the apartment as I was walking away outside, and then started texting and calling me once I was out of yelling range. I came back because I was crying too much to feel comfortable outside. I shut the door to the bedroom and tried to call my dad. He came into the room, saw that I was on my phone, shut the door, and yelled outside the door about why we can't talk and how this relationship was so messed up. He was loud enough that my dad heard him yelling and got incredibly upset at him and wanted to come and pick me up. It was honestly an awful situation. In the morning, I gave my partner an ultimatum. Either he would get therapy or I was done. I told him he was verbally abusing me and not respecting my boundaries at all. He agreed with everything, was super apologetic as he usually is after these fights, and agreed to start seeking therapy immediately. He has been proactive about seeking therapists ever since and has reported his progress to me every few days, but it is taking a while because he can't find any that are available within the month. Well, this morning, nothing was wrong, but I was upset at myself for for being late for work. I was rushing. He was in the kitchen washing dishes and asked for a kiss. I said okay, and he started taking his time drying his hands. I said, "Babe, I'm late for work," which yeah, I was a little blunt, but that did it. And that is when he started yelling. I said, "If you want to talk to me, you can do so over text, but you heard me and you know I have to leave. So bye. Have a good day." I then shut the door and walked outside. Outside, as usual, he continued to yell at me from the apartment. At work, I've been texting my best friend and planning the breakup. This is all way too stressful and never how I wanted to be treated in a relationship. I grew up with parents who yell, so it's relatively familiar to me, which is probably why this relationship lasted as long as it did. But it's been miserable and I don't think I deserve this. The reason I feel bad is because he's actively working to seek therapy to save the relationship. And even today, he's been texting me to let me know about some group therapy sessions he might participate in while he's waiting for his first appointment with an individual therapist. I can see that he wants to change, but it's too much for me to handle, and I literally feel like this issue is ruining my life. What should I do? To be honest, I don't know how you stuck this out. I understand you grew up in a household where people were yelling all the time, but this is your significant other. This is somebody who's supposed to be there for you, and they are absolutely verbally abusing you. You do not deserve this type of treatment, no matter what he's trying to do to fix his anger management. I personally think you're on the right track of seeing if you should break up with this guy or not, because even if he is trying to get help, this guy goes off the handle at the smallest things. I mean, who really wants to live in a household where someone will freak out just because you're in a rush? And he follows you around the house screaming at you. I think at this point, you really need to think about what's best for you, and I think you have it right. So if breaking up with this guy is what you plan on doing, then I think you should go through with it. This guy is not a good fit for you. I don't care how long you've been with him, it does not sound like this is a healthy relationship, and you are absolutely about to be collateral damage in his own therapy. If he wants to work on himself, then go ahead and work on himself. But that, in my opinion, does not mean you have to sit by idly and wait for him to blow up on you once again. This kind of anger in a relationship could very easily lead to something much more violent, and I don't think you want that for yourself, right? So for the sake of yourself and your own happiness, I would get out while you can. But that's just my opinion. But what about you? What would you do if you were in this situation? Leave a comment down below. We would love to hear it. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, use the playlist at the top of the description. And the next time you live stream, use the Cream of the Crop music. Search Cream of the Stream on Spotify or whatever platform you use for copyright-free music to use for your next stream.